Hi, Jeff Dean here. Very shortly I'm going to take a walk into Seaworld. Just behind me here is the Renaissance, or the old Renaissance hotel. I don't know if that now actually belongs to Seaworld or whatever, but the Blue Roof building, I always thought it did, but I don't know if it did back then at all. So very shortly, over to my left there, we have wonderful Seaworld there, which I'm hoping to have a walk around their tour very shortly. Otherwise, the weather's starting to pick up now. It's been cold in the mornings, it's been warming as the day's going on, therefore this is all going to come off. It's been a pleasant morning really. I've had my breakfast and that's it for the moment. So just take a walk with me around Seaworld. We'll have a nice little tour around there. Thanks, cheers. So today I'm in the heart of Seaworld. As you can see behind me, we've got the 500 feet tower. It's not operational today for whatever reason, I don't know why. Behind me we've got all Christmas trees and stuff. Don't ask me, well I do know why, but don't ask me why they put them up so early. I guess so they can sort out all the electrics and everything for them. But this is October at the moment. They're celebrating the Howl O-Scream, which is all the Halloween stuff and bits and pieces. Over the back there you've got a new sort of boomerang coaster. I will find out exactly what the name of that one is as I get round to it. And also over the background there, it looks like it's just behind the trees. It's a lot further away than it seems. That's the Renaissance Hotel, or the old Renaissance should I say. It's changed in name now. I think that Seaworld owned it. I used to think it did years ago. Perhaps it did, but I think it more than likely does now. I've seen a few ibis around here. We can't pick, I don't know if we're picking them up on camera yet, but they're having a bit of a fight down there. All the birds here are friendly. Squirrels, they come up to you, just sit still, and they'll, especially if you've got food, all the birds will come up to you. You've got egrets here, you've got ducks as well, so keep your eye out. They're about as well. I call the ibis popcorn pickers, because they're or pinchers rather, because they'll have your popcorn. Okay then, well, let's go for a walk and take a stroll around Seaworld and see what we find, shall we? So after leaving the bus stations, or in my particular case the iRide, which is just behind me, of course there you can see over the road there the Renaissance Resort. See, it's quite a lot further away from Seaworld than it looks. That's the other side of the car park, and it's quite a huge car park as well. So unless you're coming from the car park, which most people probably are, you'll be coming from the bus lanes, which are behind me, and right in the far distance behind, which I will show at the end of this, will be the iRide stop as well, which you'll have the north, south and the green lines as well. So this is the first site that will greet you as you, just before you enter the park itself. This beautiful ornate lighthouse there. So in a moment I'm going to have to switch off the camera because this is the security scanning check-in as you come through, and just through this particular point, they do not like you filming at all. And once you're through the security, it's then through into the park entrance. If you haven't got your tickets, you're going to be queuing up on the right hand side there, which can take a while. So it's worth checking out at your hotel or before you travel, that you can always get your tickets beforehand. Once you do, unfortunately at the moment today, the park is a little bit on the crowded side. It's not too bad. You're going to have to go to the end of this one of these lines here to get through, but it's usually quite quick to go through the turnstiles. And so now we're out on the other side in the actual park itself. So now we're now officially in SeaWorld Orlando. And once again, you're going to see the lighthouse. You can see it from the other side. So first thing in the morning, it's well and truly lit up this side, as you can see. I've had a few changes too. That's quite a nice colour scheme on there. And you can go on this little pier as well. This is where they do a lot of their photo opportunities, which is worth taking into account. 9 times out of 10, there's usually somebody there waiting there, but at the end of that, somebody takes a photograph of them. But always makes a nice background photograph, doesn't it? Skies are blue. Yes, they're absolutely blue and wonderful today. And we're going to carry on round into the park. See the Manta coaster up there. So we've got a choice here of going left to right. 9 times out of 10, I often go to the right side. Not always. And lots of your little shops and stores all around the place. And the colour, look at the colours, aren't they wonderful? These blue turquoisey colours of these little buildings there. That's the other side of the Seaworld store there. And of course your first lot of restrooms once you come into the park. There are restrooms just outside the park before you come through the turnstiles and the ticket centre area. Just passing the dolphin nursery there. It's worth a check out there. Obviously that's exactly what it is. You'll find the mother and or a mother and its offspring. There are animals, fish in this area here. There we go. This is the dolphin nursery. We're going to carry on walking round, heading on in. Sea Fire Inn, or the old Sea Fire Inn. Is it still called the Sea Fire Inn? Same building, different paintings on the outside of some of them. Some more restrooms there. Plenty of restrooms everywhere, so clock those. It's surprising how important they are when you really need one. When you don't, it doesn't matter at all. It's a Sea Fire grill, so similar thing. Artisans Hall, that's like an emporium, like at Disneyland, Disney World in the Magic Kingdoms. Just to walk around is a great atmosphere in itself. It's like walking around a village, isn't it, really? Or lots of little villages joined together, the perfect villages by the sea. Although it's more like a lake, isn't it, in the middle. There we go. Just see that new coaster over the back, the orange one. Take a look at that in a minute. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a walk across Howl O-Scream. Yeah, that's all getting ready for the Halloween. They will close the park down at such a time, late afternoon, early evening, and then reopen it again to another lot of public for it's going to be dark and wonderfully colourful for all the Halloween events that's going on. So it'll look quite different with all its blues and greens and reds and weird colours that come in there, and sounds and people, strange people walking around the park. So you get the idea. It's one of the best experiences for Halloween, I understand, along with Universal. So we're going to take a walk along the boardwalk, would you call it? As you can see, there's another look of the Christmas trees all ready for the December period. So they will start, not just, they won't just wait, it'll start sometime at the end of November, I believe, and they go into a light display at night. They flash on different colours, and waterfalls and all sorts of things happen on the lake periodically throughout the evening. Or is it a complete show? I can't remember now. So they're building a coaster. Can you see that right over the back there? There is a new coaster being built there. So I don't know a lot about that. So all the pirates flags up there. Again, I'm assuming this is all for parts of the Halloween experience. Looks fun, doesn't it? Bayside Stadium there on the right. And looking over again, all these trees on this beautiful lake there. So I guess like a pier really of sorts. There it is. It looks like a sort of a boomerang type of coaster. And you go up, it knocks you back and backwards and forwards. We'll see. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Cracking over the background there. That was the first coaster to be built in the park way back. I've been on it many times. This looks like it's designed to swing with that part, like a swing bridge on there for whatever reason. I suppose to get things into, there we go, another great look at no, there's a little bit more to it than meets the eye there. And I can actually tell you now, that's called the Icebreaker. It's the Icebreaker coaster. I would have thought that would have been more blue or white like the others, but they call that one the Icebreaker. I'll get there and find out it's a completely different name when I get there. And it is a beautiful sunny day today. Absolutely gorgeous. There we go, park map. You can find out exactly where you are at what spot at what time. Also, don't forget that when you do come into the park, actually I didn't notice any today, so they might have been about, and I normally grab one, and that is the paper park maps that you get on entry. So look around for them. They're quite large as well. And if you can roll them up, they make quite good souvenirs. Take them back with you and frame them, whatever. Yeah, definitely, it's the Icebreaker. So what's that? That's 2 abreast, so there we go. I thought it might have been a 4, but it's 2. That's big enough.
Please let go
Bayside Stadium right over the back there again. Don't seem to use that so much these days. That looks a fun coaster, doesn't it? Stands out a bit because it's the only one that's got an orange track there. All the others seem to have some sort of blue or white scheme on them, theming on them. Now heading round to this section here, this was the old Wild Arctic area. They still call it Wild Arctic, or something that says beneath ice. So you'll go on a mock helicopter ride. It's basically a simulator, which is quite good. And once you reach the so-called other side, you're then into the Arctic. There used to be a polar bear, there's not anymore. Walrus, I think there's still walruses there, beluga whale, and sea lions now, if I'm not mistaken, and you can see them on top and under the water as well. So it's quite a kind of a bit of a multi-attraction. So it's part ride and part walk round animal exhibit. This has been here. I've been here. I don't spend a lot of time around here really at all. It's Sesame Street land. It's very nice, nicely themed. And obviously, as you can guess, it's for the younger ones, which is quite a nice thing to put in there. They're very good on that sort of thing over here. Because as they get older, they're going to be wanting to go on those big... We've just seen one of them now, the big coasters and the lights and all these things like drop towers. That's the sort of thing that people tend to go for. Except me, I sort of like something a little bit more relaxing. Don't get me wrong, I used to at one time really love the coasters, and it's not that I don't mind a coaster now, because they are quite exhilarating, aren't they? So it's very, very colourful, all this. Look at this, it's nice. I just want to walk through so you can get an idea of the theming here. I'm not going to look at everything, but you get the gist, I think, of it. You always get the colours of the buildings, pink top and sort of green underneath. But it works, doesn't it? It's just quite nice. All carefully thought out theming. And then right over the far side there, what was it? That blue guy over there, isn't that the Cookie Monster? Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, that's about right. He's quite tall, isn't he? He looks like the tallest. I'm going to call them the Muppets, were they? They're all part of the Muppets, weren't they? The Sesame Street guys. Here he is. Yeah, obviously designed so that you can have your photograph taken next to him. Standing behind the pole rather than in front. I suppose it works. Get the angle right. Move on round, and is this a little arcade there? There is only, yes, there's a little arcade still there. Over to the left hand side here is Shamu Stadium. I don't know if they still do the shows in there anymore. I haven't seen for a long time. I think possibly not. I don't know, but I think possibly not now, which is fine. It's changing over now more, rather than animals, although it's called Seaworld, more into coasters and rides and things like that. I think that's a lot fairer on the animals. Rescued animals is one thing, that's something, but it's a very pretty park, as you can see, quite ornate, and it's quite well landscaped, so it's quite nice, just as it is. I'd love to be able to take a stroll every morning somewhere like this, just to walk somewhere and look at this sort of scenery. That's lovely, especially with that beautiful blue sky. Can you see that blue sky? Of course you can. Not a cloud up there, is there? Whatever angle or turn, there's not a cloud today. Quite nice pathways on it, wide, very wide. It's wider than some of those narrow little roads I go on in the UK. Distinct theming throughout the park is a sort of corrugated roofing that they have here, blue roofing everywhere. It seems to work. I do like that. They're obviously doing some sort of repairs in there, so that's why you've got the blue boards up. They seem to be doing some sort of maintenance here. I'm not sure. It's because normally they had a fountain there. It still looks nice. There's all those logs over the back there. More merchandise. I think this is your Infinity Falls here. Yeah, Infinity Falls, which is a river rapids ride. Slightly different, I believe, than some of the others in how the lift operates, takes you to the top there. all that mass of water there. There's gallons and gallons of it. Hundreds and thousands of gallons of it just being pumped around at such a speed as well. Look at that dip right in the middle there on the left-hand side. You think it's going to fall down it, don't you? It's going to skim over the top of that. Look at that. Wow. Gosh. That's the old hospitality centre there. I remember that. You used to get your free Budweiser beers there. It's just a small sort of cup really, but it's quite nice really. I think you could have 2 of those in a day. And the guy serving you seemed to have a very good memory if you turned up for a 3rd time. I never did that at all, but they would have a good memory. Did a good lunch there as well. It's the old theatre there. I remember Cirque de la Mar, isn't it? It's one of the first ones I remember there. It's such a good show that. Was it Flight of the Phoenix? Flight of the Condor, that's it, Flight of the Condor. Mako, that's another coaster. Mako. Squirrel alert, there he is. There's lots of those about as well. They will come up to you as well, especially if you've got any food. They'll take that from your hand. Have a look at the lake there. And that very tall obelisk there, which is the Sky Tower. Usually pay a little extra to go into that one, but it's well worth it for the views. It doesn't cost a lot at all. 400 feet high or more. Mako running over here. That squirrel again. Or another one. Hello? Underwater grill and bar, and also the shark encounter in there, which I'll have a look a little bit later on at. More Howl O-Scream props and scenery, which is going to look something somewhat different at night, obviously. That's King Neptune, isn't it? It's befitting for Seaworld. I can never get over all this scenery and the landscaping. It is really beautiful, isn't it? Even without all the flowers, it's just all the trees and the shrubs and everything just looks just really nicely placed, doesn't it? It's always struck me that way whenever I first came into the park, how lovely it looks. Lots more merchandise here on your left. That's everywhere, whatever you want to get. As opposed to Disney, you're going to find all your SeaWorld gifts. You even got little coasters as well. I actually picked up this box. It was about $50, and you built this metal coaster. You pushed the pieces out and built it. Something like about 12 inches long, 6 inches wide, something like that. They give you the frame at the bottom, and then you literally attach all these metal pieces, and you've got a replica of the 3 of the main coasters and other things in the park as well, which is quite interesting. Nice signage there as well. Up ahead there, you got the Seaport Theatre. I'm not quite sure what they're doing at the moment. They used to have the pets on stage. Pets Ahoy was the last one they had. They might have something different, or they might have something themed for Halloween, I don't know. Rescued animals, just domestic rescued animals you find there. So they've got something they call Rescue Tales, and I'm unsure as to whether that's anything to do with the Halloween or not. I'm sure Howl O-Scream first turned up in Busch Gardens, and if I'm not mistaken, then in that case, as it's Busch Gardens is about an hour and a quarter away from here by bus or coach. They've probably got exactly the same thing happening there as well, so you've got a different audience down that area, or different lot of guests, should I say, down that area. That's nice as well, down in Tampa Bay. So this is kind of like where I came, and I then headed towards the boardwalk. This time I'm going to go back round, because I'm going to walk round the other way now. I'll get over all these palm trees they've got here. It just makes it, doesn't it? Very tropical, I must say. So backtracking the way I've just come, passing on the right hand side there, the dolphin nursery. And heading towards this, but this place does some most wonderful ice creams. They are massive as well. I think you've got a choice of various different types of ice cream, gelato, that sort of thing. But they are massive cones. I remember those. Seaworld store there now on your left hand side. That's also one of the last things you'll see before exiting the park, or the first thing you'll see when you're coming into the park. Check them all out though, especially have you have enough time to do it. You can get, prior to coming in here, I think the UK will get you, I think you'll also get one out here as well, but the UK will give you a deal, I think, on this Busch Gardens Aquatica, and if I remember rightly, I think it's virtually the price of almost 2 days to any park, but for it can run for 2 or 3 weeks. So you've got from the first date of use, You then have, I think it's 2 weeks thereafter that to use the rest of it up, so you can choose whatever days or times that you want to come in. You might have done something earlier on in the day and think, you know what, we've got a few hours left, let's pop down to Seaworld, which isn't too far away, easy to get to. If you're staying on the International Drive, it's one of the easiest parks to get to. And then the next probably would be Universal Resort. Speaking of which, Universal are building a new theme park, not up where the Universal Resort is. It's somewhere sort of like kind of in between here and there, but over to the side, closer to Universal Boulevard. But I think it's in Kirkman Road. I think I'm not too far wrong actually saying there. I'm sure it's something like Kirkman Road. Yeah, it'll be easily accessible anyway, put it like that. You'll be able to get to it from International Drive. So this is the Manta. So we've got our pink feathered friends standing on one leg, the flamingo of course. If I happen to see what I see on the way, so be it. If I don't, I won't hang around too long, if that makes sense. So if a coaster isn't operating or I've got to wait too long, I'll just continue anyway. So that looks like the entrance to Manta, just down there on the right side. Vacation experience, pop in there, speak to them if you're looking for buying a villa over here or renting a villa or anything like that. Timeshare, that sort of thing. That's not for me, but that's, I mean, to say that other people might not want to do that. Workshop Seaworld. And now this looks like a sort of a scary entrance, for a Halloween entrance of sorts. Seaworld Spooktacular. It looks too beautiful and colourful at the moment to be scary, doesn't it? They start changing the musics around here though, so I think this is alright for the young ones that's going to swallow. They've got all these, what do you call them, the trick or treat things that they go around with their collection pots and things and bags and I don't know, and they give them all these sweets and candies and all these wonderful things that are not good for your teeth. I don't know what the dentists will think about this. Yeah, look at the guy at the top there. Yeah. Sort of like a little devil or something, isn't he? That's all the Stingray Lagoon there on your left hand side. And yes, you can actually, it's a touch pool as well, you can touch them, you can feed them as well. Buy little bits of food, they'll come up and take that out your hand. Don't worry, the stings have been removed from them and they've got no intention of hurting anyone unless they feel threatened at all, or unless you do something like tread on them, and you're not going to do that in there, you're just going to be touching the surface of them. So no, there's I did once ask one of the workers there that if that should ever happen, do they have an antidote? And they said yes. Oh yes, we do. But it's obviously that's just to cover themselves. At least I assume so. But as I say, it's quite easy to remove the sting apparently, by what I've been told. Here's the Dolphin Lagoon, of course. There we go. A crowd around there today, throwing water over people, trying to get their attention, soaking their iPhones. Yeah, you can pay extra and feed the dolphins. There's group of people that you see throughout the day actually feeding them and petting them. It's changed as the time's gone, because there was a point when I could just simply go, yes, you can buy your 3-4 pieces of fish, and you'd find they'd swarm over you. One in particular, and he would count the fish. Once the last one's gone, he'd disappear, he'd go off. You no longer had his attention anymore. They knew when 3 fish had gone, that was it. You couldn't fool them. This is the Dolphin Lagoon here, and you can take a look at them under the water as well. So if you're passing by, do take a look, and you'll see them on these big plexiglass windows underwater. That's quite interesting. These are all queuing up for their sweets and their candies, for their trick and treats bags. And they don't seem to be stingy by what I've seen as well. These big jelly sweets, they hand about 2 or 3 of these handfuls of the things out to everybody, and they're all over the place. You just go anywhere and everywhere and you'll find them.
Oh yeah.
Heading off still in a sort of a clockwise direction here. I'll tell you, one of the things I do love about this park is the swap around, the turnarounds, because I can't really tell where I mean, there are a few landmarks about where you can see certain areas where you are and where you come from, but you can't quite tell what is northeast and south unless you really want to pay attention to the sunshine and everything. It does, like, it wraps around, and you sort of like, which is quite nice. You get lost in it. You can't tell, well, if you go up that way, you're out the park. If you go to the left, you're out the park. You know what I mean? And I love that about this park. Busch Gardens is pretty similar as well, but this one in particular, you don't get lost. Of course you won't get lost, but it's just huge, isn't it? This is all part of your manatee rescue over here. Manatee and turtles. Look at all that. Is that cabbage? Cauliflower cabbage? cauliflower. It is cauliflower, isn't it? And they like that. It's something like that anyway, so it's something that they eat. There we go, they're big. They look like rocks, don't they, moving. Very sweet from underneath as well. They're quite odd to look from on top, but underneath they're quite something else. But sea cows also they're known as. That's a whole exhibit, and is it a 3D theatre experience as well in this dome? I like the one they used to be when it was the first manatee. You went into this ship. It was with no need for any glasses at all, and it actually looked kind of 3D in itself, if anybody ever remembers that, without the glasses. And I quite like there was a natural look to it. It was a nighttime thing and a break in the top of the water, and father and his couple of sons came over to look at in this hole at the manatee there. It was quite realistic as well. Yep, alligators, small alligators. You see plenty of these over, and I know there are really large ones, but there's quite a lot of the small ones as well around over the place in Florida. But there is a great abundance, if not the largest amount of alligators there are in the country in Florida. Difference between an alligator and a crocodile, one of the main differences is, yes, of course, they are both from the crocodilian family, along with the caiman and the likes. But the alligator, you will see with its teeth, when it closes its mouth, you'll see the top set of teeth closing down. With a crocodile, you'll see both sets of teeth, like stalagmites and stalactites. Look at this. Bubbles. These bubbles are filled with smoke. I promise you they are. Look, when they actually burst, you see these little bits of smoke coming out of them, and when they hit the ground, eventually the smoke goes poof out. It's an amazing thing. I've not seen that before. They appear white, so they really show up more than normal bubbles do. And I guess they probably use this at night with colour lighting on them as well, which really makes them show up. So that'd be quite interesting, isn't it? Another lot down here as well. These, I can imagine, at night time are as lovely as it looks during the daytime, are going to be your creepy walkways. But I bet it's going to be laden with people walking along here anyway, so how creepy is that? How the sun's actually catching it as well. It's catching the steam or the smoke within it. It's really quite eye-catching, isn't it? That's a sight you don't normally see. Bubbles everywhere. Makes you think of champagne, doesn't it? And then we're coming into the area of Journey to Atlantis. Away from the shady trees back into the brilliant sunshine again. That over there, that is your dolphin show. That'll be shown several times through the day, so you look out for the times on the board or on your park maps as well. That'll let you know everything, well, almost everything. So here we are down to the Journey of Atlantis. This was the first ride I ever rode in the whole of the United States of America. The following day after arriving in Orlando, going to the reps meeting, which I no longer do now, but when I went to a reps meeting, took an eye ride down to here, which was straightforward. I didn't know how straightforward it was going to be. And went straight on this ride and got absolutely soaked. It's all very cleverly done. It starts off as a dark ride and all this lighting and colouring inside, and it's like, I suppose it's like going into some sort of temple of some sorts. And then you go up in the lift that takes you right up to the top there, or a couple of lifts that eventually take you to the top, and then give you this this huge drop, right almost as high as that crown is up there. And it's only a few seconds really, and you're down in the water and you splash there and you get wet. And then often people use these cannons at the side. They put money in there and they can splosh you with more water. So by the time you come off, you're wetter than any other wet ride I've known. It always amazes me the displacement of water as after the splash. So we're going to leave that one now, and we're going to now head towards the. I mean, that had actually just opened about a week prior to me coming there back in 1998, and a few years later they built the Kraken. So they hadn't got many rides at the time. They got the Tower Top lift ride there. They got the Wild Arctic, which we passed by earlier, the simulator ride. That. And apart from the Pedalo flamingos that are out there on the lake that you paid extra for, apart from that, I don't think there was any other ride at all in the park, apart from what might have been in the children's section, but from the rest of the park, no, except Journey to Atlantis. And then a few years later, they built the Kraken. That was the next one. And it was quite a while before they then built, I think it was the Manta Ray coaster they built, then the Mako, and then any other coasters that's followed, like the ice, is it the Icebreaker? The Icebreaker and a few other rides. Oh, of course, then the River Rapids as well. That was built a couple of years ago as well. So, yeah, it's starting to get more and more rides in the park, which is not a bad idea. And it's going to be more of a ride park than an animal park. And I'm on board with that. Yeah, this is the Kraken. I love the colours of it, the blues and the greens. It's called a floorless coaster, although it's not a hanging coaster. Your feet are hanging. It's the floor drops away and your feet are hanging off the seat itself. You'll see what I mean. Just watch this. There it comes over the top. Just watch as it comes over. I don't know if you'll see it properly. You might do, you might not. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. Can you see? You can't. Yeah, you can sort of just see about the feet. Not your feet aren't touching the floor at all. That's the way it's done. As soon as it takes off, the floor drops away, and that's it. Your feet are hanging there. So it's it's not a hanging coaster, but it's a completely different slant on a normal coaster. Quite a strange thing. All these little mobile things twirling in the wind up there. Like autumn leaves, aren't they? So this is now your Antarctic area. Yes, the Antarctic, that's where the penguins are. Emperor of the Penguin. There's a ride in here. So this is another ride as well. It's a ride and a penguin encounter all in one, and it's damn cold as well inside. I'm going to warn you of that. So you may or may not. Once you get where the penguins are, I'm sure it's below freezing in there. It's definitely very cold, and you'll quickly feel the difference when you come back out into the sunshine again for a few minutes. It feels absolutely lovely to feel that heat. So yeah, there's eateries here, there's gift shops and all sorts of paraphernalia going on here. But they've obviously designed it to make it look like it's cold. And when you're here, no, it doesn't. It's only when you go inside the ride and the pre-show and everything. It's a spinning ride and takes you on an adventure following this young penguin that is trying to get through whatever it's trying to get through to survive, and it gets through to the other side. And then it's from there onwards, the ride drops you off at a station where you get to see all these emperor and king penguins and gentoo penguins and rock hoppers. I also liked, I shouldn't say this really, I mean this is far superior, but I also did like the older version that they had where you just stood on a conveyor belt and you went from one into another and you looked at the penguins. I like that as well. And then when you come out where puffins were. So I don't know if they still got puffins in there at all or not. I don't think so. They might have. And puffins are not related, not in the slightest, to a penguin. They're nothing like a penguin, but people, for some reason, think there's an equivalence about them, and they're not at all. They're more related to your seagull than they are the penguin. But they had them in there. It's quite nice. Great swimmers. So there is that about them. Puffin is a good swimmer, as is the penguin, so maybe that's what they might have in common. So this is now Pacific Point Preserve. That's where you will find these pinnipeds up here, which are your sea lion, the Californian sea lion, but I think there's a mixture of various different types of sea lion here, mainly Californian sea lions, those really big ones that make a lot of noise. And you'll see a lot of these white birds up here, which are mostly egrets up here, and there's one or two ibis as well, but I think most of these are egrets here of sorts. They do normally stretch their necks out a lot higher than that. They look very regal, they do. No, I got too close, scared him away. I would say you'd need probably at least 2 days to discover this park properly and do just about everything that there is in it and see all the exhibits, and even then you probably might not be able to do it. Doing it in a day, you will need a full day to do as much as you can in that full day, and there is a lot to do and a lot to see. And if the weather's up, which most of the time it is, it's going to get quite hot in there, so make sure that you're going to find shelter from periodically, because you'll need it. Of course, in the indoor spaces, like everywhere else in Florida, they've got air conditioning, so make use of that. See those flippers up in the air when that, when he's doing that to keep cool himself down. But also they like to do it when they flap it in the water to get your attention, to give them the fish that you've just bought to feed them with. And these little guys, they're going to pinch it as well if they can see. That's what they're waiting for, the fish to be thrown over. And they're waiting for somebody not with a very good aim, or they'll just steal it before the seals manage to get it. So they're not too happy about that. Like these lights, look at the light. They are sea lights. I have actually seen that style on seafronts. I just like it. It's nice. I just like a lot of the Florida theme parks. Everywhere you go, every few meters, you've got a set of bins. There we go. You've got a recycling bin and a normal bin there, and you'll find that in all the other parks as well. You'll find it up International Drive. So there's no excuse really to drop your litter. It's another thing why there isn't no litter. I guess that you've obviously got people going around clearing up as well, so they're doing their job, but it makes life easier for them to keep it clean. And the more bins you've got around rather than the lack of, the more likely someone's going to throw their rubbish in there. They're not going to have to hold it very far, and they're going to look around for a bin. There's one. There it goes. When people are holding their rubbish and they've got all litter and they don't know where to put it at all, and they're just going on for miles and miles and miles, there will probably be more cases than not where people will just simply, do you know what, I'm just going to drop it. Which is sad really, you shouldn't do that, but this way it doesn't give you the excuse to do that, so thus keeping it quite nice and tidy. I was going to say, is that a bin there? I'm now looking around for them. I'm saying there's a lot of bins. There are, but there'll be another lot. Maybe they were just over the side out the shot in the darkness, in the shade there. I thought that might have been bins, but that's oil cans over the side there. I'll probably pass in a few. There we go, there's a couple of bins right in front there, just by that lamppost there. Come to a theme park and I'm just looking for bins everywhere. It's not quite the case, but there we go. Well signed, as you've seen before. That was the same signpost I saw before. We went up around the top section. Now I'm coming around here. I'm going to head down to the Shark Kingdom. Is it called the Shark Kingdom or whatever? Here we go. Shark Encounter, yeah. Take a stroll inside here. There's also an aquarium as well down the way, which is worth checking out, and quite a few bits and pieces like this. Indoor exhibits that's worth watching out for. You know, this is the first one you come to, obviously. It's quite a nice experience with the and the colouring as well is quite nice, with all the fish around you. Not just to the side of you, but all over the top as well, so it's an interesting experience there. You take more time when you come here yourself. We've got this is the first tankers we as we come into the complex here. Full of life and colour, isn't it? Look at that. Isn't that incredible? Yeah, you could see a couple of clownfish there as well.
Got afraid of that one. That one came to him and he backed up.
We used to have the, over this side, you used to have the barracuda. Quite a few of them, but I don't seem to see those these days, so they've either been moved somewhere else or whatever. They're no longer here anyway. Well, they would be there looking at you with their very long, sharp teeth. Quite a misunderstood creature. People tend to feel that they're going to attack them, and they're not. When they see divers down there, they come down and they're curious to watch you and see what you're doing, rather than attack you. So that's quite interesting. There's a lionfish there. It looks more like a tiger, but it's a lionfish. We'll carry on round here. It's quite a subdued lighting in here, so be careful when walking around. You don't want to trip over.
Can you say yellowtail? You want to get out and look? Need help?
And round to the main part of the exhibit. Should I call it an exhibit? Yes. The sharks, the shark encounter itself, round this way. That up there is basically when a shark looks up, that's what the creatures tend to look like from down there, but also a human can look very similar to one of those as well, from where he's swimming from. Great white set of teeth. Or actually I should say complete jawline. It's against the mirror there. So now into the actual shark encounter. We've got just a little further down through this dark walkway, and we'll be there very, very shortly. There you go, the shark fleet there.
Sharks underwater, this is what it sees.
And now entering the shark tunnel with a moving walkway. Okay, there's actually nobody behind me at the moment, so I might just simply hold back a little bit. And the only way I can do that is by walking backwards. That's not too bad, is it? There we go. So you've got Stingray there, you've got sharks, you've got hammer-headed sharks. I know there's some nurse sharks in there as well, keep searching. There's various different types of shark. You've got the great white, schools of fish, or is it shoals of fish or schools of fish? I can't remember. Probably a shoal of fish. This was the second thing I remember doing when I came into the park for the first time after the journey to Atlantis. I waited till my clothes had dried because I didn't want to come into something that was so air conditioned. It didn't take long, about 15-20 minutes my clothes had dried and come into here. I'm just looking at these cracks in the glass there. There's one of them in particular on the left hand side looks quite severe, but obviously it's not. This is very toughened plexiglass where we can stand a herd of 20 elephants on the stuff and it still wouldn't crack. So although they weren't caused this side, were they? A scratcher. How are you going to reach them? How are people going to reach those? It had to be. How was it done on the inside and by what? And now the exits. Yeah, this is pretty much the same as it was when I first came here, except you could actually look in the, it's now a restaurant and everything, the underwater grill, which is quite good. You can see the sharks from there. That was one part of it. You would come out of here and you could walk then along that part. And I thought that was fantastic. So we're coming out of the aquarium now, as I call it, shark encounter. And now, well, we come to the point when we're going to be leaving the park. So there we go, the famous entrance there with the lighthouse and the sky tower in the background with the stars and striped flags there. Specially placed trees and palm trees around the place. This is your car park. It's massive, isn't it? I call it Sea Harbour Boulevard. It's not. I think it's Sea Harbour Drive actually now. I'm saying that. I don't know why I keep calling it Boulevard. I'm sure it's Sea Harbour Drive actually now. Yep, they've got places for disabled as well. I noticed that down the front here as well. There's plenty. They're usually blue marked for disabled. So that's something worth taking on board. And I would imagine 99.9% of these are all rented cars as the people who come into the city, and that's what they're using, rented cars. Why not? Central walkway here.
Hey man, I saw it. No, it's not. The further you get away from. Yeah.
So right out here, we almost reached the destination. Right out here, we are heading towards the iRide trolley stops. And I always thought it was these two down here, but no, it's not. They're a little bit further around the corner. These two are probably and most likely, and I'm pretty certain, where your hotel buses will drop you off and pick you up at various times throughout the day. You need to look at your schedule for that. Yeah, this is where, see plenty of bins here as well. And this is where the buses will come and drop you off and pick you up later on in the day. But in order to get your eye ride, see, I think there's a little sign around here that will point you around there. You can just see the stars from the where the vehicles will stop. There you go. I ride round the corner here. And there'll be 4 different types because they'll be going north and south. You'll have the main line north, the green line north, main line south and green line south. And if you need to make any changes at all on here, ask them and they will do the same with the link bus. They will link you over from green to red if necessary, if it gets you there quicker. That's going to be $2 a ride. Senior citizens 25 cents. Not too bad at all. And this should be the view you will get. So I'm now going to say thank you very much for watching me and accompanying me on this tour of SeaWorld. See you again all very soon on YouTube. Cheers. Thanks very much. Bye. Thank you. Thank you very much, and please remember to subscribe and help my channel grow. Thanks very much. Take care. Cheers. Bye.